So I called someone in our management services team, and he jokingly said that let's hire a private jet. And then I said, let's hire a private jet.
Welcome back to Talent Surgery, episode 4. That means we've actually done 3 so far. So if you haven't had a chance to look at it, like, subscribe, please make any comments. We love feedback and we'd love to hear from you. So I'm Steve. This is my co-host.
Hi everyone, Yasar, Ahmad here. Very excited for this episode, 4th episode, so
Yeah.
pretty impressive. Today we're joined by Keiran Dodd, Vice President of Talent and People at Preply. Preply is a e-learning platform, language training platform. We've worked together at Zalando. Maybe you want to tell the audience a bit about you?
Yeah, sure, we have. Yeah, Kieran Dodd, currently the VP of Talent and People at Preply. Very well done, because a lot of people say Preply, but it's Preply. And we are the largest online one-to-one language learning platform.
Nice.
You will find other subjects, but we focus predominantly on language learning. And a little bit about me, 12 years now in talent acquisition, way too long. From London to Amsterdam to Berlin to Barcelona. I worked for some companies like Booking.com, Zalando, and now for the last 2 years for Preply.
Amazing. So this is kind of a typical question. Did you want to get into HR and talent? Is this the path you pursued during your school years?
Yes, does every recruiter not want to? No, I wanted to be a football player.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I like to say it was because of an injury that I never worked out, but I believe there was
Many times.
there was some problem in talent. So I went down a different route of talent into talent acquisition.
Nice.
But no.
Trouble scoring the goals, eh?
Exactly. I mean, when you work in recruitment in London and you join a recruitment agency, every single guy you meet says, yeah, semi-pro footballer. It's never true.
It's very hard to break it into that kind of industry, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we should get a footballer on.
I think we should.
Yeah. Well. And so you started off in an agency, it sounds like.
Yeah. So I actually moved down to London.
Yeah.
Probably half an hour the city is from here.
Where's the accent from?
Scotland. Yeah.
Whereabouts?
Edinburgh.
Oh, okay.
Edinburgh, yeah. So done 2 years with quite a large agency. I actually was on the weirdest desk, as what we call it there. So I'd done contract recruitment for QA testers of Ruby and Cucumber. Very niche. But unbelievable.
That's exactly how I started in my agency career.
Really?
The testing market, yeah, Mercury Test Suite. Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
I didn't do any of that, so yeah.
You didn't do agency?
No, I did agency for 3 months and I walked out. So I went straight in-house.
I like to say it's one of the best learning grounds, if you're in the right place.
Yeah. Well, you've gone strength to strength in each of your roles, right?
Yeah.
From as soon as you landed in-house. Usually we start off by asking a productivity hack that you would kind of instill in your day-to-day. But today I want to ask a bit different. What's the secret ingredient? You've been growing strength since I've known you. You've just in your career you've excelled as well. What do you think is the key one thing, if you had to pinpoint, is really helpful for?
Honestly, there's 2 parts. There's the honest answer is luck and timing, I think. So I joined Booking.com 2015, right at the point where everyone wanted to hire engineers. We were a small TA team, 14 people. By the time I left, we were, I think, 75 in Seattle, Tel Aviv, Shanghai, and Amsterdam. So right place, right time. Why me? Very, very good mentors. And then probably other part is just very, very quickly realized that working smart, using data to influence a lot of your decisions. When you're in-house, you get buy-in straight away from the stakeholders. And then, honestly, I think someone once said to me, perception is reality. And if you want to show up at work, then you need to show up every day. And I think that's something that I take every day. Like, no matter what happens at home, when I'm at work, I'm there and I'm dedicated. And it's very, very difficult sometimes to keep that out, but I think that has really helped me
That's a
in
good
terms
point.
of, like, yeah.
You have a favorite skill. And
Which
that's-
one? There's so many.
But your number one, you said to me, was curiosity.
Yeah, curiosity. Yeah.
I feel like that's a big one as well. In your career, I've seen you kind of move from side to side, right?
Curiosity and probably being open to take on something new as well. So actually curiosity is one of our values at Preply, and I think it's unbelievably important. Like I seen the episode where you spoke about when you ask a recruiter how curious they are, and that is just so important to be successful, I think. But the other part is just like being comfortable and putting yourself in the uncomfortable, because then you're able to take on new opportunities and explore different places. Might not always be successful, but if you don't do it, you're never going to know.
So with your current organization, Preply, not Preply, it's a global organization, right? It's
Yeah, correct. So Ukrainian founded. I joined at 130 employees. We're now 500. So we're 230 in Barcelona, 30 in the US. We were 180 in Ukraine. Due to the war, we've had some people move out of Ukraine, as you can imagine. And then we have about 130 people globally. A lot of that is customer service, and then some other dedicated talent in different areas.
wow.
Interesting.
Go
No,
on. You
I was just gonna. I mean, I was just really curious around whole Ukrainian
Yeah.
situation. And I've got some serious questions to ask you, and hopefully not too serious for the audience. But I think it's a very good talking point to discuss, because there's a lot of learnings in there as well. From what I understand that Preply has done, and I've worked with Andreas, obviously, as you know, and I know a lot of the amazing work that you guys have done.
Yeah.
But I don't think a lot of people did know. So I guess my first question really is, what would you be able to describe some of the biggest challenges that you faced while you were reorganizing, reshaping, but also hiring Ukrainian talent, during this period?
Yeah. So I think nothing that we faced was as difficult as the people in Ukraine faced. What was difficult for us was it was a situation that no one had experienced before. And why I think we handled it very well was, number one, straight away, our founders, the CEO and the CTO, was people first. So everything stopped, and let's do everything that we can do to support our preplers that were in Ukraine and take the steps to make sure that they're safe. And probably the second part was, as you said, like Andres, for example, like the guy done so much work. I think he worked 2 weeks, didn't sleep one day.
Who's Andres for the audience?
Yeah, so Andres is our director of people ops. So he helped. I mean, we had a full contingency team, like the whole team that stepped in. But to be honest, the whole company supported. We had, the minute people landed in Barcelona, they were staying at different preplers' houses. People were working until 2 a.m. on a Saturday trying to organize vehicles to get people out of Kiev at the very early stages.
Wow.
I think it was just a very, very human approach that Preply took. And then on the other side of, like, we're proud of our Ukrainian roots, so we will always continue to hire. We have hired in Ukraine since the war has happened. Of course, there's times where we need to make decisions on what roles can we put there because of infrastructure, and we need to make sure that obviously Preply's always able to run.
Yeah.
But no, we're very, very proud, and I'm also very, very proud to work for a Ukrainian company, founded company.
It must have been, well, I'm sure it was very intense. What was your immediate feeling when you found out and your kind of C-level or your team reached out to you and said, hey, look, this is the situation? Because I remember at the time you telling me I think you were doing more than just recruitment, right? You were kind of stepping in, kind of helping in other areas as well.
Yeah, it's a bit of a funny, it's not a funny story, but how it all happened. So my boss had actually resigned about a month before, who was running, and then she was currently in Ukraine.
Oh, wow.
So she was unable to like do a handover because she herself, like, we were supporting her leave. So I just stepped straight into the HR role. I don't think you had any feelings. Like my first feeling was, how can we help as many people as quickly as we can, and just take the steps that would make sure people were safe. I think looking back on it, I find sometimes if it's an insensitive thing to say, but it's the hardest part of my career, but the most rewarding at the same time, because I feel like I've really done something for people. I remember this one moment we had an employee who traveled for, I think, 5 days from Kiev because of the trains, and then having to get different cars, go to different borders with her daughter. And then we got her into Warsaw, we booked her hotel into Warsaw, and then we flew her over, and she just stepped into the Barcelona office, and we'd been on calls over and over, and I was like, probably the happiest, but then at the same time, like one of the saddest moments. It was such a strange feeling to have.
So it's completely surreal, right?
Surreal, and now what I think as well is like so many people have gone through that at Preply that I don't know, like I've worked for some great companies, but I'm not sure I have the same sentiment that I now have with Preply.
Close, like you're all really, really close.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Even more so right now, that like what's going on in the last, however long, but it's even the affinity you have to your organization is special, right? You're like a real connection there, which means that it's a very people-driven organization.
100%, and I think the big part for me, we're talking a lot about me, but it was the teams underneath that done everything. Like everyone stepped up there. Everyone in our organization stepped up, and I hope, and I think they do, they all feel like extremely proud of the work that they done to support their colleagues.
Once you got everybody kind of settled, and because obviously I'm sure there's still challenges going on. So when I say settled, I mean to the best of your ability. You obviously went back to hiring, or I'm assuming you're still back in that situation where there is some hiring going on, or attrition, or the business has to run, right? So how are you addressing that in your role as a leader? How are you addressing the current recruitment trends that are going on right now? What do you think of, the trends? How you... it's a big question there. It's like 4 things in one.
I'll try and answer it.
He tries to trip you up. Be careful.
So I think the first part is, which is honest, is making sure the whole organization knows business continuity still needs to happen.
Yeah.
You know, like we are a site that we have to be online.
Yeah.
If we go down, then we have a problem. We need to look after our customers, and then we also need to look after our staff. So business continuity is the first part. I think with the question on how are we monitoring trends now, I mean, you see what happens now. There's so many layoffs that are happening in the world at the moment. So we are, as an organization, just being very smart about how we do workforce planning. So what do we think about that? Do we need the role? Is it the right role? Is it the right time? Is it the right place? Versus 2 years ago when there was funding flying all over the world and companies were scaling crazy. What we don't want to do is end up in a position that we have to do a reorg like the companies are doing right at the moment. And then finally is probably looking into now AI and how we can interact that into our organization.
That's interesting. Out of curiosity, how did you maintain communication with the employees, but also prospect candidates as well?
Yeah, very good question. So there was times where we weren't able to like keep comms because people were going into bomb shelters, etc. But we had a contingency team that every single day phoned our list of people, and we knew where they were. So where possible, we're a Slack organization. And then with candidates as well, it was the exact same
use
thing.
Slack, just to be clear. You use Slack. You know Slack.
Only Slack. I don't think I've
Don't slack off.
I don't think I've ever received an email in Preply. We only communicate via Slack. But I think what you brought up is a very good point as well, because we had a duty of care of our candidates that were in process as well. And I'm very fortunate that we had the recruitment team that was very focused on that as well and helping. And it wasn't just like the amount of people that we helped leave Kiev at the time was not just Preply employees. There was family members, there was friends, and at times there was candidates if they needed support and we knew where there was a bus going.
So it really resonates really well with in terms of company culture, what type of organization Preply is. How do you convey that now? Like, considering you're obviously trying to attract new talent, what does that look like in terms of your employer branding, your retaining your talent? Like, what kind of have you changed to your EVP values? I don't know.
We're actually working on our values principles at the moment. They're not dramatically changing. I think what has helped now is it just reinforces what Preply is. If you think about Preply fundamentally, it's a tool that connects two humans together.
Yeah.
It breaks down borders across the world. You can be a tutor in Colombia and you can be speaking to someone in New Zealand. And that's what we're about. We're about connecting people and bringing people together. So the sort of people that we want to hire is people that want to have a positive impact on the world. And I think just the way that we operated at that time just reinforced our mission. We're basically, how I would say, is like the world class. We're a classroom for everyone in the world.
Live and breathe exactly what your product is.
Exactly, yeah.
Nice. Are you able to discuss any kind of measures that you took to ensure the safety and the well-being of your, staff?
Yes, I mean, honestly, it was all about like crisis communication, making sure that we understood everyone was there. When the war had first started, we were booking hotels all over Ukraine, all over Poland. Once we got people through the borders as well, so it was really just making sure that we knew where every single person was at that time, and that they were as safe as they could be. I mean, there was times where we were unable to get in contact with people, as you would expect. And even now today, like, there's still blackouts that happen. We've reopened our office.
You have?
Yeah.
And where is
in Kiev.
It's in Kiev.
Yeah, we've reopened our office. Yeah.
Nice. I think it is amazing how your HR, but obviously your whole company, but I would say predominantly your HR and talent teams have pivoted into like a new type of skill, right? And they've under pressure, but it's completely it's been out of their comfort zone. I imagine it's been entirely out of all of your comfort zones. So for you to guys step up and to be able to kind of manage that, it's amazing.
Yeah, maybe one last nice story on Ukraine, and then you can ask more TAs. One really, really nice story was right at the early stage, we were phoning each employee, checking if they were safe, and someone very in the HR team, HR ops team, called one employee and they said, "Hey, like, are you okay? How can we help?" And they said, "Honestly, everything you've done's been amazing so far. There's one small request. It's my daughter's birthday. Do you think you could get a birthday cake to where we are?" And this was early on, and they made it happen. They got a birthday cake in Kiev to where their daughter was. And that's just like one of the smallest stories. But I mean, it's just insane.
Nice.
That is pretty cool. Okay, shifting the conversation slightly differently to more around productivity. What's your favorite productivity hack?
I have two. Number one, have you read the 5 a.m.? Yeah. So I always put 45 minutes in my calendar from 7 till 7:45, and I write in it self-reflection.
Okay.
So I'm already up, and all I do is think, like, what do I need to achieve today? What did I not do yesterday? And then what are the 3 topics? And maybe even if there's some slacks that happened that I missed. So I have this 45-minute period every single day that I know exactly what needs to be done straight away versus going straight into a meeting at 9 a.m. and then you can't get into the actual important stuff. And the last one is hire a very good team and delegate.
That's your hack.
It's so true, though.
Delegate, yes.
I'm horrendous with Excel. Horrendous.
Yeah.
I can do it. Take me 5 hours. So I build teams in a way that they're very, very efficient, and use them effectively. Too many people take too much responsibility on themselves and delay. Like, focus on what your strengths are. Don't always focus on your weaknesses.
Nice. You wake up in the morning quite early as well, don't you?
I do.
Do you do the reflection?
I don't do the reflection because generally I don't have time. I've got to get the kids ready.
That's the reflection.
I've got lunches to make. I've got clothes to put out. Yeah. So
like making that peanut butter sandwich, like
yeah. You know when I do my self-reflection? When I take my dog for a walk.
I thought you were going to say something different there.
When it's just me.
I thought you were going to say to the toilet on the toilet.
No, no.
There was a recent article that went out that said that men spend an average of 7 hours on toilets every year, and I'm pretty sure it's more than 7 hours.
Yeah, 7 hours. It's got to be more than that. It sounds got to be much more than that.
But even that is just a long time.
Enough of this trash talk. No, I love taking my dog for a walk because that is the time when I can talk to my dog and I know he's not going to talk back to me.
Yeah.
Nice. So you talked about building teams there. When you're looking for new members to join your team, what is the skill set? What is the thing that really stands out for you? What's the one, like we talked about curiosity, but
Yeah.
is there anything else that you actually, if you're interviewing a recruiter, what would you be looking for?
Have you ever read the book The Ideal Team Player?
No, I haven't.
No.
No.
Who
So
is it? Do you know what it's by?
I actually forgot who it's by, but I can tell you what it taught me in terms of interviewing. So number one is hunger. And I think you need that in talent acquisition.
Totally.
Like you need to be a go-getter. We don't live in a world where it's a passive market and people are just applying. So I think to see hunger, tenacity, and self-drive, like they want to grow themselves. The next one is people smart.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't necessarily mean like have the best education. It just means that they're smart, they're emotionally intelligent, they understand people, they can speak
Strong
to the
common
CEO,
sense. Yeah.
but they can also come down a level. And then the last one's humility. Like, and I think if you have all three of them, then you're classed as an ideal team player.
Nice. What do you think when someone's looking for a job? Because we were in a conversation earlier today with Theo.
Yes. Theo Smith.
What do you think is in your view, important things to stand out
For
if you're looking for a job? If you're interviewing a candidate, what do you think you really look at? Because we talked about this before in terms of skill set.
For me, when I'm talking to candidates, there's always one question. Now here's my hack. I'm giving away. There's always one question which I ask that for me cuts through a lot of the bull crap, which is where are you when you're in your element? Because I feel that strips them back. Now, the candidates that I find answer straight away, they're not thinking. They're not taking their time to think, and they're just giving you an answer because they think you want it to answer. I want to see people who are taking their time, really taking that in. What does that mean? Where am I when I'm at the top of my game, right? So am I selling a deal? It could be anything, right? Am I writing the best marketing campaign? Those candidates, I find, that real true authenticity comes out, and I know whether or not they're going to be that person for the role.
Yeah, I have this thing we mentioned it earlier. When I'm speaking to potential people that I'm hiring, I want them to say something like, if I've got, like for a recruiter, for example, if a recruiter is interviewing with me, they'll usually say, oh, well, I hit 50 hires or 40 hires or 20 hires. I'm like, oh, great. Well, that's just a metric. I don't care. But if they just add this one simple thing, but I had the ambition to do 25 or 30 or 40, it just shows me this. I want more. I want this. And it kind of goes from, I liked that accomplishment. Now I love that accomplishment because you've just added this extra element, which is like the go-getter, the hungriness.
An ambition to succeed.
Yeah.
Look, I don't think we can knock the achievements from a KPI perspective and data perspective, because that's there for a reason, right? It means that you are tracking it and you're really kind of pushing yourself to reach that. But I think that the achievements also need to be something like, where have you stepped outside your comfort zone? We've really kind of tested yourself.
I agree. I think because sometimes with KPIs, one KPI I hate, I absolutely hate, is time to hire.
I guess
it's the most vanity metric ever. What does that mean?
Time. Explain for the audience, because there's different terminologies of time to hire. I think we know because we work together, but
so for me, if you were going to use that metric, you would use time to fill. And time to fill is the day the job opens to the point that the candidate accepts. And if you want to be really good, then do time to start, because that's when the person starts. And actually, it's 2 months until they're on board. But time to fill is just this random metric that everyone speaks about. And it's such, in my opinion, a vanity metric. I don't know what I get out of it.
So I'm going to debate that with you. So time to fill we use, time to start we use in HelloFresh, and on my teams, if they're watching, they'll love this. So time to hire, I agree there's an element which is like, why? But what you're trying to measure is actually time in step.
True.
That's what you're trying to measure. Like, how long does your average time in steps take? Maybe it shouldn't be time to hire. Maybe it should be time in first interview, second interview, third interview, time in screening,
Yeah.
instead of time
The
to hire.
period between the first interview and
Yeah.
the second interview.
Because if your
versus
time to
case study
hire
level.
is, let's say, 40 days, but it was actually just 3-day interview and then 40-day offer or 37-day offer, then there's something wrong.
Yeah.
So that's why I would say time to hire is the sub levels of it are good. Maybe the overall is not really me.
Yeah, I agree.
The average doesn't give you the real story.
No.
No.
Time and stage is I agree with that.
Yeah.
Time to start.
What was that favorite question you had? I remember you used to ask. Oh, that was it.
I don't know.
You go ahead. Go on.
Well, let's see if we
Remember, it was,
is it
you was
how to measure quality of hire.
Yeah.
Do you want to know something? I ask anyone that question.
Yeah.
Like if I'm interviewing a VP of HR, if I'm interviewing a VP of engineering, because I think there is no right or wrong answer. It's more about like, can you think about it? There's certainly practical steps that you can take,
Yeah.
but there's so many different avenues that you can go down. So it's almost a on-the-fly case study, and it's like, can that person really think about it? And that's why I love that question, even though there is no perfect answer for it. And to be honest with you, I don't think any company's solved it yet.
No, because every company does things differently when they're measuring the quality of hire.
Yeah.
It could be based on so many different factors.
That should be the answer. Starting point should be like, okay, there's multiple different ways. One could be measuring probation, appraisal, salaries, exit interviews. There's lots of
Assessments, yeah.
But the point is that if someone says, I don't know, why didn't you try?
Yeah. But I would coach them through it.
Yeah.
Like I interviewed a woman from McKinsey the other day, and she nailed it, even though there is no nailing it.
Yeah.
But she said all the stuff that you said, but then she said, but you do know that it's impossible because there's too many variables. So bad manager.
Yeah.
How do you account for that? Poor onboarding. How do you account for that? Problem in their personal life. How do you account for that?
Yeah, it's true.
Good challenge.
Yeah.
Good.
Very
Yeah.
good.
Hope you're harder.
I'm trying.
Join him, whoever you are.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so it would just on the, I want to deep dive into this because, you used to manage an executive function in Zalando, and you went from, it was the first time they had an executive function. So
Correct.
a lot of it, I think the emphasis was on bringing in top talent into the organization. 2 questions. One is, what is the difference between a senior recruiter and executive recruiter in your world? And the second question is, what changed for you from a sourcing aspect when it came to executive recruitment? Did you change anything in terms of your...
Yeah. The second question's easier to answer, so I'll start.
Yeah.
I'll start with that one. I think from an exec point of view, number one, you need to understand what your business needs.
Yeah.
So you need to sit with the senior stakeholders and also HR, do workforce planning, succession planning, go, what do we need?
Yeah.
I think the big difference there is we were very targeted. So we said, here's 40 companies that we know are top companies. Let's go and map the top 2% of those companies in senior roles, map them out, then try and get as many of them on the phone and work out what's right for us.
Right.
And then the next part of that is actually the realization of to be a good exec recruiter, you need to be able to steer senior stakeholders. I'll give you an example. The CTO wants a VP of engineering. They want 25 years engineering experience. They want a degree from Stanford, MBA. They want the person to work at Airbnb during the scaling period and then had some experience at Google. And it's like, okay, there's no one that can do that. But what we done, remember, we actually built a tool that was a data tool that would take, if you just took the top part of every single person that could maybe do that job, then plugged in each requirement, we would take it to the C-level and go, there's your pool of your pool of candidates. There's 2 people. One of them's married with kids in Seattle and doesn't want to move to London, Berlin, or Amsterdam. And then the other one's just taking a new job. And I think that was like one of the big differences maybe for the first question between an exec recruiter and, I mean, you can have a senior exec recruiter, but it's really being able to steer the business. Like,
Can I just challenge that a little bit? Sorry, it's just when you mentioned about, the top 1-2% of those 40 companies, even just those 40 companies, isn't there a issue, but isn't there a risk of missing out on other talent that could be hidden talent, let's say, very high potential from other companies?
Or diversity as
or
well.
diversity as well, yeah.
I was going to say
because you're actually kind of shooting yourself in the foot a little bit because you're limiting the pool yourself.
Yes and no. Because first and foremost is the reason that you're targeting those companies is because there's scaling challenges that you're trying to fill those companies have gone through. So there's a purpose for that, So, like, of course, there's very good talent in another organization, but if you want someone that's seen 10,000 to 20,000 engineers and they have to have seen that, you can only go to a company that's seen 10,000 to 20,000 engineers. Diversity 100% is a problem, especially at an exec level. It's about how do you take steps to make sure that you limit that as much as possible to make sure you have a fair process.
I guess it's interesting because you mentioned, okay, we map out these companies. Now you're doing that to kind of satisfy the need of the executive, but then also you're going there and saying, you're educating them, saying, actually, you've only got a pool of 2 people. If we widen it, then it might not be those top 40 companies. It might be the top 100 companies.
Yeah, 100%. And I think as well, you gather more data as well. Like maybe a very good example, I won't say which organization, but one of the organizations I work for, they said, just go and get people from this one company. And they're like, don't target anyone else, which is just a problem, isn't it? And
you're just becoming a spammer to the company.
And there's good and
miniature version of whatever that company.
There's good and bad people in every company. And I tell you what, all of us might end up being bad in the wrong environment as well. It's about the environment that someone goes into. I think the top talent are very flexible and can perform in great environments and bad environments. But yeah, I agree. Like if you really, really limit your pool and you have a negative
because then you're
impact.
only bringing one type of knowledge to your organization. It's not flexible. Sorry.
100%. No. I didn't have a follow-up question. I just would say one ad lib. 100%. DJ Khaled. Another one. What advice do you have for individuals, organizations looking to really improve their recruitment process and attract top talent, especially given that you've done this now multiple times in lots of different organizations, and now you've got some experience, you can really give us a fair view.
Process is really invest in it first and foremost. So know what you're qualifying, know the stages that you have, track the data. One thing that I done straight away at Preply is build an ops team to make sure that our TA ops was set up properly, so we really had solid processes and that we knew what we were doing. For top talent,
just before you go into the ops team, can you just explain what they do?
Yeah, so as soon as I joined Preply, I pushed for budget to hire a ops lead, and what they'd done is they brought in an ATS, a new one. For us, they made sure that it was set up how we wanted it to be set up, that we were able to track the data that we wanted it. They managed all the tools, so candidate experience, LinkedIn, different job boards that we were using, and then be able to prove the value of them. Because you end up, there's something called technical debt. If you do it too late in a TA team, you end up with recruitment debt. So when I joined the startup, we had Lever at the time. We had 22,000 candidates just sitting in job application stage. Because we were just a small company, they wouldn't really help us fix it. So in the end, I just said we start afresh somewhere else.
Yeah.
So that's ops, basically, making sure that your infrastructure runs as well as it can, building your dashboards on Looker. Top talent, I think know what you're selling. Let's be honest. Like, people want to work for a great company with great people with a great purpose, and I don't think there's anything particularly that'll beat that. In all honesty, if you work for an organization that is purpose first, mission led, has extremely smart and strong talent, wants to have an impact on the world, whether that be in AI, whether that be in education, whether that be in sport, like, that beats all.
There's a problem with that though. it's happening now with all these layoffs that's happening. There's this kind of shareholder supremacy mindset.
Yeah.
It was this Milton Friedman, this American economist in the 1970s. He came up with this concept of every CEO should focus on making as much money as possible for their shareholders. And that led to a lot of organizations it almost kind of pegged the CEO one level down, kind of knocked their ego and just said, hey, you just focus on making us money. And that's where a lot of these companies, they kind of went down this route of just really focusing on shares, money. And now we're seeing a bit of a shift. And actually, we thought a lot of companies that were purposeful are actually showing their true colors, right?
Illusion again.
It's illusion. It's a facade, right?
Yeah.
And there is this kind of, if you said work for a purposeful company or purpose-driven company, what does that actually mean? Because every company is claiming to be purpose-driven. You talk to a Google or a Microsoft or an Amazon, they all say they're a purpose-driven company. Amazon maybe makes it clear that they want to be the best customer-centric company in the world. I think Microsoft, I don't know what their vision statement is, but I know Google is they want to provide access to information to everybody. But
Anywhere at any time, yeah.
Yeah. And then they're making these mass layoffs
Yeah.
when they made like 200 and however many $billion. So how can you be purpose-driven?
I mean, I don't work for Google or Microsoft, so I'm
okay.
not sure I can answer how they can be purpose-driven.
But what's your perspective is what I'm more referring to.
But by the way, if there are any, recruiters that are listening from Google or Amazon, we would actually love to know.
Yeah, I know, I've got nothing wrong with nothing.
We genuinely would like to know, what is the purpose-driven?
I got a lot of love for those companies, and the people inside those companies are not a reflection of.
No. This is knowledge.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's an interesting one, isn't it? Because I think Google and Microsoft and all these enterprise organizations, they have endless buckets of cash, I assume. If you look at their market cap and their revenue and their profits, etc. So I can't really answer for that, but I think when you come down to like a startup, for example, like you can tell if they're purpose driven. There is loads of startups that are probably doing reorgs and layoffs.
Yeah,
I think the very good ones, if they make that choice, it's to make sure the company survives. Because if the company doesn't survive,
Correct,
then everyone's laid off.
Yeah.
So I can't answer it for Google or Microsoft, but I think you can find that out for the interview process if you challenge enough.
Don't forget, these big companies, they have multiple products, and ultimately, if the products are not doing very well, one of their products isn't doing very well, they need to shave, and they may not be able to move those people internally because then they'd end up doubling up on somebody else's role.
Is that because of an underinvestment in reskilling?
Maybe it's just a failed product.
True. I mean, I think we're all going to face, whenever it is, I'm not sure it'll be this year, but the buzz will come back on TA and all these organizations that
right now we're in a burst bubble, right?
got rid of 80% of their TA team are going to regret it, and they're going to be hunting for TA people or have huge costs.
I hope so.
I hope so.
No, I hope so. I hope that the TA market comes back strong.
Yeah, I think there will be a lot of trust issues. I think there will be a lot of contractors saying, "Do you know what? Yeah, cool, but I'm not gonna put myself in that position again."
Yeah. But also, I think, by the way, I think recruiters, they will ask more questions during the interview.
Yeah.
They'll be asking much more around the commercials, which
By the way, I always say this: I want every single recruiter that's in my team to, at base level, understand the P&L.
Yeah.
Like, have business acumen, have commercial acumen.
Exactly.
If I interview a recruiter tomorrow and they say, "Hey, how long's your runway?" I think brilliant question, very, very good question. Let's talk about it more. Like, I strongly advise every recruiter, next interview you have, ask those questions, because you're going to join that organization.
Exactly.
And they should share that knowledge to what they can with you. And if they don't, then maybe there's your sign that
taking like a risk analysis review on it.
Absolutely.
This is like investment, right? You're investing your time.
Yes.
And we talk about investments, and usually it's monetary, but this is actually, you're investing a lot of time into this company. So you might as well make it the right choice.
100%.
Kind of moving on, what's your biggest TA pet peeve? Have you noticed this chair is squeaking?
I've just noticed.
very
I thought there was a
squeaky.
mouse underneath.
Might just be me rocking back and forward. Biggest TA pet peeve.
What irritates you?
I think maybe some people might not like this. Posting hope for the best. Like, you know, TA recruiters that just post their jobs everywhere but don't want to do the headhunting, don't want to be the 360 recruiter. And not in all roles you have to do it, but I do think, like, if you have a love for TA, then
Post and pray.
you have to have that hungry.
It's hard though, isn't it? Because at the same time, if you don't post it, then people don't know who you are, especially if you're an unknown brand, right?
No. So I'm not saying don't post.
Okay.
I'm saying don't only post.
Right.
Because I think in a lot of situations where I've seen it's like, oh, just no good candidates applied. And it's like,
Yeah, you're talking about posting of the job.
yeah.
He's talking about not posting as in social media posting.
No, but just posting jobs as well. I mean, if people don't know that there's live vacancies or
Yeah, they should definitely post, but
Oh,
they
you
need
post,
the
but then-
activities on top of that.
But then when you've got no good candidates for 3 weeks and you need to get in
then
and
there's a
start
problem.
sourcing.
Yeah. You don't.
But I feel
know,
like
I know what
that-
you're saying. Don't just post. Make sure you do follow up on other things to it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
But I think those are the fundamentals you learn in a recruitment agency. You don't just post a job. You're straight up post a job, bang on the phone, or sourcing. Those are the first things you're doing. At all simultaneously. You're not doing it. Sorry, yeah, in parallel, not sequentially. You don't wait for. I know that some people do that, and there's nothing wrong with it. I guess it depends on your situation, company size, etc., capacity.
Yeah.
But I do agree with you.
Maybe one more. And I think it depends on the set.
We've lit something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the setup that you have. But do you know what I miss? Recruiters doing calls on the floor.
Okay.
Everyone goes into rooms now.
Yeah.
How can you learn? You hire a junior recruiter. Like, I used to learn the most by listening to someone qualify a candidate for a role that I didn't know. I would take that information, use which was good of it. It's gone. Well, maybe in all the companies I've worked in recently, it's gone.
It's a fair point. We have become quite siloed. It is quite, and even more so when you're working from home.
See, I didn't have that at Wipro. Zalando is very much the case, you know, phone booths and whatnot. And there's nothing wrong with it. Like, you want sometimes you need that space to think and you don't need the distractions. At Wipro is a bit different. You couldn't get a meeting room. So you literally were in office, everybody's loud and you're just talking.
Yeah.
And it was absolutely fine. It was kind of just normal to the point where even if you were a new recruiter and you weren't used to it, you kind of got used to it within a day because it was physically impossible to go get a room.
Yeah. We had the same at Criteo. We had a nice table, 8 of us sitting here. We were all bashing the phone, speaking to candidates.
But
It was fantastic, actually.
But
It
if
was
I had a-
it was a really good environment, to be fair.
But if you give people the choice, they will take a room because it gives them a bit more privacy. I think there is an element of it's like enabling people to do that as well.
I think it's just background noise. I think what they're concerned about is when they're talking to people, they don't want to hear. They don't want them to they don't want to sound like they're in a zoo, you know, where there's lots and lots of noise behind.
Do you think it's a fear element as well? Like people are embarrassed?
It's how I started the question.
Potentially.
I think you need to have the right setup because I wouldn't tell a recruiter to go qualify a candidate on a floor where they're talking about salary and there's other people around, etc.
That's- yeah.
You need to enable the team to have the right environment. So I wouldn't ever say you have to do it. The environment needs to exist for it to be successful. But it's just culture, isn't it? It's learned behavior. If you join an organization, everyone does it. You end up doing it.
Do you need to do calls nowadays? Like, is there other tools that can become a bit more efficient in kind of helping you pre-qualify? But it does seem more like factory driven. But is that the case?
Does exist in, I think, very, very high volume roles, customer service.
But you still lose that person touch. You really do. But if you're a smaller business, you can afford to really kind of invest the time in calling them. If you're a larger business where, you know, you're a delivery company or you're the Royal Mail or someone like that, where you've got to get people through the door because of the services that they need to deliver on, of course, it's got to be quicker, right, and much more automated.
Maybe one last part on that. We have all managed TA teams. How many times has someone in your team hired someone and that person came up to you and said, the reason I joined is because of X?
Yeah.
I don't know if a machine can
Do that.
to do that
Absolutely.
part.
I'm not
That's a good
disagreeing.
point.
I
like
think
that.
100%. I think we double down. Now is the best time to double, triple, quadruple down on the personal touch, because that's what's making the difference between all these companies.
What you make them fall in love in.
Yeah.
In love with.
Yeah, exactly. What's your favorite tool, productivity tool? Like,
Productivity tool.
is there any kind of Chrome add-ons or anything like that? I'm trying to learn, right? I know you're a very efficient guy.
Do you use any kind of project management tools or resource management tools?
Yeah, I mean, for sure, that's how we have to manage all our projects. But personally, I'm not doing it yet. But one that I actually might. I heard there's a tool now that you can add onto your Chrome that if there's no agenda, it rejects the invite.
Oh, I like that.
So if Steve, Kieran, catch up, no agenda, reject, reason, no agenda.
Good one.
That could be very good. Yes.
If it's not, maybe we should quickly create it.
Yeah.
Cut that out and then we'll sell it.
It's so true. I like to talk about failures and successes. What's been your biggest failure throughout your TA career? What have you learned from that? And then tell me about your successes as well.
Biggest failure.
He's like,
I'm thinking
never had one. Never
No.
failed in my life.
Mr. Purple.
No,
But thinking about what you can also teach the audience and the viewers as well.
I've had loads. I think at booking when I first moved into management, I was only numbers driven, so I led by numbers, which can make a team efficient, but you can lose trust with the team very quickly.
Did you become blind by the numbers?
Yeah. So I think I was very like, here's the KPIs, hit the KPIs. If you don't hit the KPIs, so that it took probably quite a lot of coaching. I had a very good manager at the time, and I think it completely changed the way that I do people management now.
Yeah.
Numbers still tell a story, 100%.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But there's a
But it
balance.
doesn't
to
explain the
that.
bigger story sometimes that's going on behind the curtain.
Yeah, biggest success. I don't know. I think TA's been very lucky to me. I've lived in London, then I moved
Maybe
to.
you've not had it yet.
I
Maybe
moved
you're
to
still-
Amsterdam, moved to Berlin, now live in Barcelona.
I think all of it is this career is successful in general, but I think it's more like what I've observed having worked with you is you do the dailies really well,
Yeah.
right? It doesn't necessarily need to be a huge project that you've been successful in, because I think even with, technically speaking, even the implementation of exec recruiting as a Lando, that was a big achievement. The work you've done recently with the war, that's a big achievement. The transition into people team role, that's a big achievement. So I think we could all be very critical of it, but
I actually do have an answer now that you said that. I thought for success is build the right teams. There's a Lando team that we built exec, unbelievably strong. The booking team, I think one of them's director at Netflix TA, one's director at Wayfair, one's VP at The Zone.
yeah.
Like building very, very strong teams is probably something that I'm most proud of. And we've got that now in Preply with Andreas and others that are part of the team.
Amazing.
Nice.
I lost my trail of thought.
That's all right.
I've got some questions, this or that question.
You're going to do the quick fire ones?
Yeah.
All right, go
Hold
on.
on. How can I?
You love these quick fire questions.
I think they're great. It just put you on the spot. Okay, quick fire question. Recruitment through networking or job boards, which is more effective in your experience?
Job boards for high volume roles, networking for harder to fill roles.
In-person interviews or virtual interviews, which do you prefer and why?
2 years ago in person, now virtual. Same answer.
Focus on skills or focus on cultural fit? What do you prioritize in a recruitment process?
Cultural fit, skills can be trained.
Nice. Traditional job descriptions or project-based job descriptions, which you believe provides a clearer picture of the role and responsibilities?
I'm not sure I even have an answer to that, so I'll go traditional.
These are difficult. Referral programs or employee branding, which do you believe has a greater impact on attracting top talent?
Referral programs, statistically, they stay longer and perform better.
Yeah, and if your people can't sell the company, then what's going on?
Yeah, I like that. Employee retention or employee development, which do you prioritize more in terms of investment and focus?
Employee retention, because you can't develop them if they've left.
Good answer. Passive candidate recruiting or active candidate recruiting, which do you find more effective in finding top talent?
Active, go-getter, hungry.
recruitment automation or well, this I already know that recruitment automation or human touch. I'll answer it for you. Human touch. There's the correct, right? Yeah,
That's correct.
yeah. Sourcing through employee referrals or LinkedIn, which has more successful? Which has been more successful in your experience?
Employee referrals is more successful if you're at a scale organization. When you're a very small organization, you only have so many people that can refer. So I think it depends on the situation that you're in.
Okay, this last question is my favorite. Hiring for potential or hiring for experience? What do you believe is the best approach for finding top talent? So hiring for potential or hiring for experience for $1 million USD. Do you want to phone a friend?
I do. Can I phone a friend, please?
Yeah. By the way, next time I think we should get one of those countdown clocks and have them in the back.
Yeah.
I think
I'll put it on digitally.
I've cheated on every single one, but I love hiring for potential.
Yeah.
There's some roles that you can't do that.
Cool.
You need to hire for experience in some roles.
100%.
So based on your answer, I have a question of being a TA leader. Do you think they should ban the CV?
No.
Are you hiring for CVs or are you hiring for people? It's hard, isn't it?
Yeah, it's debatable though, isn't
It
it?
is debatable, but it's a good question to ask.
It's a good question. You could ban it, but it's not scalable because then you have to speak to every single candidate unless you give them some sort of other test, which also can cause some issues. But if there's no CV,
But
then
maybe there is another way.
But
Just no one's figured it out yet. Maybe we don't need a CV. Something
like
else.
Blockchain, CV, or actually just LinkedIn. What about LinkedIn profiles?
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
getting people to answer more detailed summaries.
Or video.
wait, is that not a resume? I've not seen a CV that's not a LinkedIn profile
Yeah.
in
Profile, yeah.
5 years.
Yeah.
Something to think about.
Do we have? Well,
I'd like to see someone replace the CV, but in a much more, clean, innovative way that we don't have to rely on the exact skills match for the job, right? Let's look at what else can you do?
wasn't a CV for a long time. There weren't CVs back in 1989.
And they had no problem hiring then.
Yeah, my mum, but different roles.
You see that what's happened, right? And when I was doing some research on history, we didn't have CVs 30, 40 years ago. Not really. We had resumes and it was pieces of paper where people used to write on them and stuff. But no, sorry, 30, 40 years ago. I'm talking about 60 years ago. But what's happened is over the years is we've put blockers in place to make our own jobs and lives so much harder to hire people and scale and grow.
Isn't it because we want more from people?
We need to knock down our own blockers.
Yeah, I think we've become very specific about what we want in the hires we make. Going back to that Milton Friedman, we hire, or we're trying to make as much money as possible. So the people we hire, we need to make sure their investments and they give us as much return as possible. And because of that, we've become so obsessed with understanding, instead of your potential, your fit. Did you do this? Okay, do this again. Instead of, I'm going to hire you and you're going to learn and you're going to, we do that and companies do it and we do reskilling and all of this, but there's an element where the attitude towards work has changed and now it's changing again.
And I think I think it was the 70s and 80s, it was all about referrals, right? Come and let me introduce you to someone, or there was a lot more people within the industry, if they were in a specific industry, it was much more referral based.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Very interesting.
Well, look, I think on that note.
Well, no, we got.
No, you have one more question.
Yeah. Do you want to ask this time? Or I'm happy to.
No, go on. With pleasure.
What's the most embarrassing situation you've faced in your career so far?
The most embarrassing. Can I give you craziest instead? Or I can do one embarrassing one.
When craziest might have been embarrassing.
No. Wildest.
Wildest.
Yeah.
Wildest. When I was working for a specific company.
Very specific company.
A very specific company that I might not name. And people are going to complain.
Say it and then we'll beep it out.
People
on
are
the
going to complain about the impact on CO2 emissions here. But
okay.
we had a very senior candidate that we wanted to relocate during COVID, so now you'll be able to work out which company.
Yeah, it's a very vitamin C based company.
And we couldn't get the candidate from the US to Germany, and they needed to come for their visa, and they were going to pull out. And in the end, we actually had two families that were going to relocate. And one of the senior execs told me, "You need to make this happen." And I said, "How do I make it happen?" "You need to make it happen, Kieran." So I called someone in our management services team, and he jokingly said that let's hire a private jet. And then I said, let's hire a private jet. And we hired a private jet and flew two new senior talents and their families, etc., over. And actually, it all worked out because they all still work there today and are having a very good impact. So,
I mean,
candidate experience.
I was about to say that's probably one of the best onboarding, literally, experiences that I've ever heard of. Sorry, I couldn't resist. It was
what a joke! Great.
Great. Do you have any questions for us?
Yes, I have two. One, thank you and congratulations. I think what you're doing is very, very good. Genuinely.
Appreciate that.
Very professional setup.
Yeah.
Joe Rogan-esque. Yeah. Actually, one question I do have for you that I was having with actually 3 of my direct reports. How do you manage to do your job effectively when you both have kids and a family? Because I could not imagine that right now because my work takes up so much time and I have such respect, in all honesty.
So you asked me today, you WhatsApped me and said, how did you do this? And I said, I got a secret. I got a time machine. No, I'm obsessive, literally obsessive about my calendar. So I would say I'm very organized. I'm like, if you saw everything I do, I've shown you the color coding, my time boxing, my work during the work hours, is like the best it's ever been in the sense that I'll have 4 hours blocked out for meetings and then I'll have 4 hours free. Yeah. And that 4 hours free allows me to do everything I need. And by the end of the day, my inbox is 0 every single day. Even before I came in here, 0.
Yeah.
So I just very obsessive about it. Plus, I enjoy this. So we've talked about this before. What about you?
I mean, first of all, I'm not measured by the number of hours that I work. The 3 things that are, I suppose that, what's the word I'm looking for? What's that word that helped me put me in this position? Is time management, communication, and support. That's it. You know, I'm very transparent about what I'm doing. My family support me. They love it because I come home and I tell them all about it. My kids love it, especially because my children are into YouTube. So they're always, how many followers have you got today? How many likes have you got today? How many comments have you got today? You know, they are going onto the apps and they're looking and they're really, really curious. So actually, it's quite a nice way for engaging. And then I have a little competition with one of my eldest, you know. Yeah. And my wife is extremely supportive. So, yeah.
I think anybody who wants to do something and is passionate about it, like me and Steve, we're passionate about helping people. And this is not funded by anybody. This is me and him just put it together real quick. And we just thought, well, how can we have just a normal conversation with people we know and people we don't, and just ask them how did they get to where they are, and learn so much today, which was really helpful. And this is exciting,
And we said right at the beginning of our first episode, this is about this platform is to help people navigate through their careers. So having guests like yourself being able to give insights, nuggets, knowledge, it's priceless, right? You can't just get that from anywhere. Especially people don't know who you are, or have experienced the same situation as you, but didn't know how to cope with that kind of situation. So I do believe that,
taking advantage of your experience, learning from your mistakes to avoid the same.
Awesome. Right, one quick fun question. Fast forward 5 years.
Yeah.
Episode 1000.
Me
You are allowed to choose one celebrity to interview, both of you.
Oh wow.
Celebrity.
Fast, quick
People-
fire.
Someone Simon Sinek.
Quick fire.
I'll
Steve.
It's really hard because you okay, Woody Allen.
Oh, wow.
Woody Allen.
Yeah.
I don't know why I thought Ricky Gervais was going to come up.
No. He's fantastic at what he does. His creative mind is incredible, and he's also, I think, underrated in some areas.
Yeah.
But the stuff that he has put on the screens is amazing. So smart. I'd love to know how he comes up with these ideas.
Yeah, Simon Sinek, he's just optimistic. He's like, great, right? Just a very interesting person, has all these golden nuggets. So very inspired by him. Look, thank you so much for being here. Really excited.
Thank you.
Do you want to, I did last time, you do this time?
Did you do it last time?
Yeah, your camera's there, my friend, ready for you.
I'll say goodbye.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us. And as I said at the beginning, please like, subscribe, comments, feedback, everything welcome. This is for you as much as it is for us. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for watching. You're going to want to watch this episode with Hung Lee, where we cover AI and the future of work, his overall background, and creating recruiting brain food, and so much more.